Hello, welcome to the Empowered Career Woman podcast. I'm your host and your founder, Cathy Tellis. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My second live that I am doing for this podcast, and just very grateful for those who's joining me today. Thank you so much. I have my coffee in hand, so today's topic is pretty important for me because it's been a busy week. This work has been just kind of crazy. Thankfully, I didn't travel too much this week, but this was my first week that I didn't have our daughter Paula at home. This was her first week literally in school. We didn't have her at home the entire week. And I thought I'd be a little bit sad. I thought I was going to be, even more like missing her and all of that good stuff, but I wasn't. I was busy. And what I've been telling her all throughout her life is really finding your people. And I am just so grateful that she has found like a network of young ladies that's going alongside her journey with her, and she is loving school, she's loving life, and I'm just so proud of her. I mean, on one side I'm missing her because she's been with us for so long, obviously, but we've had to let her go, and this is her first week in her own apartment. It's crazy to know that she's doing this on her own, so it's pretty cool. But she found her group of people who have been there to help support her, who has been by her side. I don't think she's ever really experienced this type of friendship and sisterhood before. And so I'm just so grateful that she has found that those folks in her life. And which brings me to today's episode topic, which is really finding your people. Um, I have been so fortunate to have had such great friends who have been with me through thick and thin. I mean, trust me, there's been moments where I hadn't talked to some folks in life. Well, having social media over the last 10 plus years has helped a lot, but back in the day when, we had to call or we had to write letters and all of that. And sometimes we lost touch back in the day, but I'm just so grateful that I've had friends who have been with me through years. I mean, I'm talking about like 30 plus years in my life who, they might even be here on the live today. So thank you for joining if you are here. But those are the folks who have encouraged me through everything, all the things that I've experienced, trials, tribulations, heartache. Um, and I feel super fortunate that I've had them in my life. And I say finding your people because you have to do that. You need folks who are going to be supportive of you, because whether you are a working individual or you're a stay-at-home mom, um, you need that group of folks who's going to be there to support you, especially women. We have so much that we bear, that we put on our shoulders every single time, and having that network of women to help support and encourage you and lift you and inspire you is so important. uh, you know I share stories. I mean, I've mentored so many people in my life, and I've coached other women, and oftentimes they feel that they're alone, and they feel like they have no voice. They don't know where to go, who to talk to, and all of that. And I just encourage you. You don't have to find necessarily that person that's at work. It could be a Zumba friend. It could actually be your neighbor. And 13 years ago, my husband actually went through a quadruple bypass. And at the time, we had just moved to Phoenix, and we had just bought our house. It was just kind of crazy. I was working a lot, and my husband said that he called me and he said he wasn't feeling well. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And I could tell that this was totally different than what we had ever experienced before. And can I tell you about the people that I have in my life? Phenomenal people. Like, it makes me want to cry just thinking about the folks that have supported me. And Paula was at daycare. She was at daycare, and I had to call the daycare to have one of my friends from Hawaii who was living in Phoenix at the time to pick her up. And I had these group of folks that grew up with me in Hawaii that lived in Phoenix, and they all stayed at the hospital when my husband was undergoing his quadruple bypass. Then I went home one of the nights, and I saw one of my friends, a neighbor that I probably didn't even really know too well. I mean, we said our hellos and everything, but this woman, I tell you what, if you're on, Susan, I love you. Thank you. Um, so anyways, I came home, and she was like, what's going on? And I shared with her what I was what I had experienced with Paulo. And oh my gosh, she gathered all these people in our neighborhood. I didn't know half of them. Remember, I had just moved into this neighborhood, and they pulled all this food for us. And to this day, I mean, it's 13 years later, we are still best of friends, and I feel so fortunate. And even through these 13 years, we've gone through so many trials and tribulations in our own personal lives, whether it was going through uh, you know, layoffs. I was part of a layoff. I was part of just so many different things. I mean, loss, and that is what this podcast is all about. This podcast is about finding your folks, finding your people, whether it be neighbors, whether it be your Zumba friends, whether it be your lifelong friends. I've been fortunate to have had lifelong friends, um, and there's not a whole lot of them, just two really that I love and adore, and we try to meet up every single year. But we've seen medical things that have happened in our lives. We've seen losses in our lives. Um, but they have lifted me up. And even though that they don't know the work that I do, they have heard me out when I went through some of the trials and tribulations that I had with work. And I just feel so grateful for the women in my life that have supported me through all of that. And so I want to encourage you, like, this podcast episode is really about finding that group. It could just be one or two people. Hey, if you don't have a network, that's okay. Drop your contact information. I would love to be a part of your team. I'm telling you. Just put your information in, subscribe, and I'll connect with you. Seriously, because we all need it. I feel like women in today's society, we have this pressure of having to be super perfect. That's another episode, but we have to be perfect. We have to carry everything, whether we're carrying, the workload that we have to do, taking care of our kids, having to manage the home, having to cook, having to do grocery shopping, all of those things, and present ourselves at our utmost best. Right? I mean, um, having when people come over to your house, not having clutter. I mean, oh my gosh, that would that would be crazy if you had clutter in your house. But see, this is the thing that I absolutely love about the people that have surrounded I have surrounded myself with, they can come into my house and my house can be in chaos and they have zero judgment of me. And I just appreciate that so, so much because they know it. They know that, the work that we do as mothers, as working moms or stay-at-home moms, the stuff is hard. And we have to support one another. And so, you know, I speak with a lot of women, especially these young women coming into the workforce, and they want to move up, they want to get to the next level, and I absolutely love that they do. That ambition, I was there too. um, but sometimes as they are going up towards that ambition, they tend to forget that they need people in their lives throughout that journey. Some of them actually, their ambition has gotten them so far up that they lose friends in the process. And I want you to, if you are in that space as a young working professional coming into the business life, um, know that you need to have good people around you. Don't burn bridges. Don't let your ambition overpower the friendship and the sisterhood that you need, seriously. Um, because trust me, your ambition is going to get to where you're going to want to go. You're going to get there, but don't break those relationships, because it is really critical to have these people in your life, because when you get to the top and you lose that position or that title, but you're alone, and because you've burned bridges and you've broken relationships, that's a very, very sad place to be. It really is. And I've seen it. Thankfully, personally, I have never experienced it, but I have seen it in other women who have shot up to the top, but they did it um, without the care and without the love and support. You see where I'm going? And so, I encourage you, young women who are young professionals getting into the workplace, to find your group of people that are going to surround you, that's going to lift you up, that's going to help support you get to where you want to be. Um, so, talking about um, layoffs, I experienced that. And for these young professionals, again, I, in my mind, when I was in my 20s, I didn't expect that I was going to ever be laid off, ever. I'm such a hard worker. I am a loyal individual to my companies that I've worked for. I go above and beyond, probably above and beyond some of my male counterparts. I go in early, I stay in late, because I want to do well and I want to get to the next level. And when I was laid off, that took the rug under me. One, um, where was I gonna bring in the money? I mean, I'm a breadwinner. I'm the breadwinner in my family, and it's like, holy crap, the pressure that you have as a woman. And at that time, I mean, my daughter was still so young, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna do this? Obviously, my husband is such a great contributor to our family as well. Um, but what was I going to do? The identity was lost. I lost my identity, and I had been that person for so many years. And what brought me out of that was those people that I was talking to you about, my friends that I had, that I had been with for years, my not even high school friends, they're like almost elementary school friends. And my friends from my neighborhood. I mean, they helped me through all of that. And ironically, while I was going through this layoff, I was going to the gym a ton, because what are you going to do? Apply for jobs and go to the gym, pick up your kid, cook, and all of that good stuff. But then I met women in my Zumba class who experienced the same things. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. Had I not like just taken a moment and stopped and spoken to them about like what was going on with their lives. I mean, usually you just go in, you dance, and then you walk away. But I did not know, like there was one of the women who she personally took time off because her health wasn't good and she really wanted to take care of her family, and so she left this high paying executive position at her company so that she could stay home with her kids. And what a blessing that was. And I had to switch my mindset of, wow, you know what, even though I am in this laid off state, what a blessing it is for me to be able to take care of my family in ways that I had never ever done before. I was able to cook and prep food. I was able to like pick my daughter up, go to a lot of her events that I hadn't been able to in the past. Um, and fast forward to today, that person actually introduced me to the company that I'm currently in, that I've been with for almost 7 years. And, just that power of that network and that power of being around women who support and love and encourage you is what this episode is all about. So, um, today, I just want to say thank you for joining me on the podcast. I know it's a short one. These are going to be short spurts of like hopefully inspiration. In the future, I'm going to start inviting other people that's going to join me on the podcast. I'm going to be interviewing some great and amazing people, women in my life who have inspired me, to be honest. And I hope that they'll be able to inspire you as well. So maybe those podcast episodes are going to be a little bit longer, but when we have these one-on-one chats, it's like having coffee chats with you and I in a coffee shop. And so thank you for joining me. And I really encourage that you join me every Saturdays at 8 a.m., even for a brief 15 to 20-minute talk to help encourage you for the weekend so that you can start off next week in a bang, with a bang. Um, so, anyways, with that being said, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe below. I would love for you to share my podcast with other women who you think that would benefit from this podcast. And I would love to hear what you guys want to hear. I've been talking to a lot of different people, and the power of finding your people. Today's episode was one of the topics that people wanted to hear, and um, sharing my personal story of what I've experienced. And trust me, life is not just about roses and rainbows. There's going to be some tough crap that you're going to go through, and having that group of people, even if it's one person that has your back, it's a powerful thing, because then you feel like you can conquer anything when you have that group of people to support you. Um, but anyways, like and subscribe my podcast. And I was going to say, go to my website, cathytellis.com. Subscribe there. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to find my lives every single week without it go on. It'll trigger you. So it'll be great that you'll be able to hopefully join coffee with me every Saturday. And when you actually go to that website, cathytellis.com, you'll actually get my free 5 steps to success guide. So go ahead and subscribe there. And I hope to see you guys next week on Saturday. I hope you guys have a wonderful, empowered career woman day. I love you, and thank you for joining me today. See you guys soon.